homes in Singapore at the moment.
Okay, we're getting ready, like 2, 3, 1, almost. Okay, So hello everyone that's joining us from all over the world. I'm Deborah Pascali Bonaro, and today is extra special. I have a guest that I can't wait to introduce to you, but I also have to share and just give out my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to everybody who's been following us all week long, joining so many of our webinars, and also supporting our new book. And yesterday we made #1 in new releases on Amazon. Woo! So if you haven't ordered your copy yet, you can go over to Kindle today. It's the ultimate guide to sex after baby, secrets to love and intimacy. And if you buy your Kindle copy and take your receipt and jump over to our website, orgasmicbirth.com/sex-after-baby-book. So sex after baby book with hyphens between it. You'll come to a page where if you input your receipt, we're giving you over $100 worth of free bonuses, and $2 from your sale price is being donated to feed pregnant and parenting families that in this very challenging time around the world need more love, care, and support. So please support us so we can birth that forward and support others. But today we have even more gifts for you by being here right now. Red Miller is here with me. She is a mother, an amazing holistic midwife. She's the author of another great book that I love, From Fear to Love, Your Guide to a Fearless Magical Birth. And she's founder of another important online course of love-based birth. Her special power and deep passion is helping couples to have awesome births. She's attended nearly 800 births, oh my goodness, Red, in super diverse settings, from the rice fields to a palace, and in 10 countries, including India, US, and Singapore. And she's also a dear friend, someone that I've learned so much from over the years, and I'm so honored to have you here with us today, Red, coming from Singapore, to share your tips for preparing for your postnatal nurture nest. Welcome.
Wow, Deb, such a nice introduction. Thank you. And such a huge congratulations that your book is out there, that it's live, #1 first day. And I feel so lucky because I got to be one of your early readers. So I've read your book. And sharing about it here in this part of the world. So it's just so cool that now you also have, the rest of the world has access to your book. So gosh, I know what a huge project it is. So such a big congratulations to you. I hope that you can just now relax and celebrate.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, it is a long writing, and as you know so well, a book is a huge labor and an amazing birth. And that feeling after birth, which is why we're here talking too, right? Like I always say, like we're postpartum after we have a baby the whole rest of our life, but especially now, in this changing world, it's so important that we create that love nest as you talk about. So share with us. And I love seeing you, and I love seeing your beautiful images too.
Yes, thank you. Well, this is, I know we were also supposed to be together in Bali next month, so it's nice. We're going to miss that, but at least we get to see each other for a minute tonight. So that's really nice. And thank you for everyone who is joining us. Definitely, it's a passion topic for me about, how do we prepare for the 4th trimester that I love to talk about and to share about. I think so often we get so excited about preparing for birth and we're thinking about that one day so much, but then we really can also forget to prepare for the postpartum period, which is also so important. So um, as you said, we are in a time now that I can feel it with my pregnant mom friends and clients here in Singapore. We're sitting in a place of really deep unknown. We the our access is closing down in ways that we never thought possible. We don't know how long this is going to continue. So I was really excited to share tonight from that perspective. So how do we then prepare for the postpartum time where we can cozy in together with just as juicy and well prepared as possible? So I have 3 tips that I wanted to share. Um, and the first one is really around, let me just see if I can change my slide. So yeah, postnatal moms. So the first one, if we just think a little bit about the 4th trimester, because some people are like, what the heck does that mean? Like, what is the 4th trimester, right? So I was just thinking, what are the words that pop into my head when I'm thinking 4th trimester? So that's your first 4 to 6 weeks after you have a baby. So I was thinking, skin to skin, breastfeeding, pajamas, lots of permission giving, sitz bath, sun bath, swaddling, baby massage, baby wearing, co-sleeping. The recommendations now are to keep baby in your room for the first 6 to 12 months. So if it's not in your bed, at least somewhere around. So we're preparing, where's baby going to sleep? What is this going to look like? Really getting the co-parent as involved as possible in the process. 4th trimester is all about rest. So I'm also thinking about, how do we reduce stimulation for moms? How do we reduce stimulation for babies? One of the benefits now that the moms here in Singapore who've given birth with me this week, they're like, wow, this is amazing. Like, now we don't have to try to limit visitors, or now we don't have to be like, oh no, actually I'm not going to come out for that coffee date. So there's wonderful things about being in this kind of stay in climate that we're in right now. It really gives us extra permission to just settle in. So I'm quite well known with my moms to recommend an old adage, which is after you give birth, you've got 5 days in bed, 5 days on the bed, and then 5 days around the bed. So that's your first 2 weeks where, you're really in the nest. You're not, marching around the kitchen and getting busy around in your house. You're really keeping things as kind of contained as possible. So that is easier in some ways now during this time. So one of my first tips is really when you are thinking forward to that time, that first 4 weeks when you have baby with you, start to set some intentions. And one of the good questions to ask yourselves, or one of the helpful supportive questions to ask is, how do I want to feel during that time? And so I have this slide up to just give you some ideas about some of the ways you might want to feel during that time. And then you can think like, okay, well, if I want to feel confident and relaxed and calm and joyful, then you can think, well, what do I need to put in place in order to be in that time in my bed, cozied up with my baby and feel really confident and really relaxed? So I like to pick feeling states and then sort of work from there. I find it really super helpful. And thinking about, what are the things that we can control in our preparation, especially now in this world with so many things that we can't control. So I also love to encourage moms to just start thinking about, what are my self-care rituals going to be during that time? So often we are on day 4 with our newborn in our arms and thinking like, did I brush my teeth today? What's going on? So just finding really small ways where we can still care for ourselves, passing baby over to our partners and taking that extra 3 minutes in the shower under the hot water. It's just self-care can be so simple. It can be still rubbing your beautiful baby belly with massage oil still, even though baby's not there. It can be, making sure you get a beautiful mug to drink your tea from. Care for ourselves when we're so busy caring for the little ones. And then also I love to think about, like, how are you going to prepare your scene? Like, this is really sacred, beautiful time. So what are the things that you can bring into your postpartum nest, that make you feel so wonderful? For me, I always had a candle on for just those first weeks, when I would light that candle and just feel like, wow, this is hard right now, but this bedroom, this space that I'm in with my little guy, this is sacred. So having, dim lighting and candles and your crystals and your plants or whatever it is in your room to really help you feel like you're in that sacred space is so important. Paying attention to all of the small details is really essential. So that would be my first tip, is just really setting the intention. What is this going to look like? What is this going to feel like? And what do I need to put into place early on in order for that to happen? So especially now, when we are not sure how long we're going to be in this place of reduced contact, I think even for the mamas out there who are listening, even in your second trimester, it's not too late to start planning ahead for this postnatal period, right? So my second tip is thinking about the team. So who is going to be supporting you during that postnatal period? And because that might look different now, especially now, it might be harder to get someone like a lactation person to come in and give you support. It might be harder to have a postpartum doula visit you afterwards. So more than ever, I believe, anyways, preparation is so essential, preparing for birth and preparing for the postnatal period. But now, because really women are not having access to all of their teammates, so how do we get super well prepared with birth preparation? And most of that is all happening online now, of course. So Deb, you have your beautiful program. I have an online birth preparation program. Like, mamas really put time into getting really good confidence boosting, evidence-based information, because for sure, if you're planning to give birth in the hospital, you want to go in later. You don't want to go in at your first contraction. So there's a really big movement right now of women who want to stay home longer in their labors. They really want to go to the hospital if they have to, have their baby, and then get on out of there, because we are in the middle of a pandemic. And so being in the hospital might not feel good. And in order to be able to do most of our labor at home, we really have to be super well prepared for that. So, and I also know from my experience with birth, and what moms have taught me, is that the smoother and easier going the birth goes, usually the smoother and easier going the postpartum goes. So preparing for that time of things being with grace and ease, is really about having a birth that you prepare to be as graceful and as easy as possible. So that's all of that that preparation that you're doing. One thing that I made a note about is I was looking up today about online breastfeeding classes. So I think getting prepared for breastfeeding is so, so key, right? So there's a whole bunch of classes that I saw. Wow, there's a lot available out there. I'm not sure, is that part of your program, Deb? Do you have a
Yes.
breastfeeding component?
Well, we also refer out to other classes because there are so many good ones. So we cover it a little bit, taking them deeper. But
Yeah.
like you said, there's so much online today, and even great YouTube videos that are breaking
Yeah.
it down into nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have an online breastfeeding class that you like the most to recommend?
I do, but I don't have the URL right here, but I can get it to you after. And those that are listening,
Okay,
we
yeah.
can send it to you. It's a 3-hour class, and you can do it in 5-minute nuggets, or you can sit down and do all
Yeah.
3 hours, which is nice that you can kind of go at your pace.
Yeah, that's really nice. So getting that breastfeeding support is so cool. And then there's so many lactation support people, midwives, doulas who are doing virtual sessions like this
Yes.
with video. I'm doing them. I don't know if you're doing them, but we can look, we can say, oh, maybe you can tip the baby a little bit more with its tummy like this. I mean, there's so much that we can do from video. So mamas really know who these people are in your community. If you don't have someone local, you can reach further out online. You know, one of the beautiful things is the internet brings us all together so close and in each other's living rooms, right? Just like now. So if you prepare in advance, you won't be in the position where you find yourself, in this like lockdown at home, having a breastfeeding issue and just thinking like, good grief, how am I ever going to solve this? I have no support structures. So really getting the support structures in place really early on is really important. One of the things that we're really lucky with in Singapore is that a lot of people are doing we call it the confinement period, or doing that during the fourth trimester. So there's a lot of companies who are also doing food delivery, and it's called confinement food delivery. So signing up for that sort of thing, I don't know. I know in the States, there's some postpartum doulas who do a lot of food preparation as well. So maybe you could find a postpartum doula who, rather than come to your house to cook for you, maybe, you could set up some sort of a meal delivery service there. I mean, this is the time to really get creative, because even though our world is changing, when we are home with a new baby, the support that we need is not changing, right? So we just have to get more creative even earlier on in our pregnancy, I think, to really get that support team in place. So um, that is the second one, is just like team. Think about it, find your resources, do your birth classes online. I know there's even some doulas doing virtual doulaing during the birth period in places around the world where doulas are no longer able to attend in the hospital. And of course, if there's any way that you can have a birth at home with a midwife, that's, even better during this time. Um, so then I wanted to share my last point. Yeah. My last point is just about getting some products ready, right? So it's also not so easy to just nip out to the shop. So mamas, if you're out there, if you're, let's say, 36 weeks pregnant or something like that, this is what I would love for you to start gathering, so that you have it in your home at this time, so you don't have to start running all over town, or trying to go to the grocery stores that are packed and everything is maybe not on the shelves anymore. So one of the most important parts for mama healing for me as a midwife in that postnatal nurture nest time is beautifully nourishing sitz baths. Huge fan of them. If you have stitches, if you don't have stitches, it doesn't matter. You should ideally be using a sitz bath. I have one. It looks like this. So I love this picture because that's the olden day sitz baths. You see these really old things. That's a sitz bath is as old as time, but today they come in more kind of plasticky varieties like this that you sit on your toilet seat. So I love a really simple sitz bath. You've got Epsom salts, you've got a good quality lavender essential oil, you've got ginger, you've got garlic, maybe you've got some herbs, dried herbs like lavender if you have access to them. Ginger is anti-inflammatory, so it can take down swelling in your perineum, in your vagina, and your vulva. Garlic is a natural antiseptic, so that's also going to help to make sure you don't get infection. So there's I'm just going to show you here that there's this is my favorite. This is the one I use, the recipe, but you can find loads of recipes online. They're super easy to do. They're easy for birth partners to put together while you're staying in bed, right? Birth partners off in the kitchen doing that. So we kind of are sold this idea that we need tons of stuff in the postpartum period, but actually we don't, right? We need a nice baby sling. We need lots of burp cloths. We don't need a lot, but really essential is your ingredients for sitz baths. And a good nipple cream, I think also super essential. Maybe a good breastfeeding tea, so stock up a little bit on that. And here in Asia, the mamas during the confinement period are using the longan and red date tea. So that's really nurturing in this part of the world. It's wonderful to boost circulation. It's good to boost the immune system. It's good for iron. So if you want to read about doing red date tea, that's also something that you could create a little stock for. So also, when you look at your maternity pads, I would go for things that are chemical free, right? Don't buy Always, don't buy Stay Free. They have so many chemicals in it. It's all plastic. So your vulva, your vagina, your important bits are not able to breathe. So you want to get something that's a really good brand that's just cotton that can help you to recover. Because obviously now more than ever, maybe your midwife may not be able to do as many house fits postnatally. So you want to make sure your bits heal really, really well. So that's one thing. And then just for baby, also just to say, we can do things a little bit simply to also reduce their chemical exposure. So look for the wipes that are chemical free. There's some great brands. These are the brands that we have on this side of the world that are easy accessible. So diapers without chlorine and all those chemicals. So stock up on them now, because we don't know what stocks are going to look like, potentially. No hoarding, people, don't hoard, but maybe you do want to get a few extra stocks of diapers, or even better, this is a beautiful time to go to cloth, right? This is a beautiful time I have got that potty there, because learning maybe about elimination communication, I started my son on the potty at 3 months old. So starting to do things a bit simpler, a bit more old-fashioned, maybe you don't even need wipes. Maybe you can just rinse their bum under the sink like this, So this is also a good time where we go back to our roots a little bit and simplify our systems a little bit. So anything else? Oh, another thing I wanted to say is I am a really big fan of using homeopathy for mamas in the postpartum. So moms, maybe you want to get a few just really simple remedies, like arnica is great for bruising. Calendula, again, is really good for if you do have any tearing on the perineum. Chamomile, a really good one as well. I would say moms who, if you're going to be having in the next months or whenever you're having your baby, a second, a third, a fourth baby, don't forget about those after surges can be a little bit intense. So even pre-preparing for that, is really important. I have a mom now, 3 days postnatal, just getting over really intense after surges. So there's really nice tinctures that you can order from online, local, maybe your local herbalist has something wonderful for you. There's ones like After Ease is a popular one that I like to use, but there's lots of different preparations with like cramp bark and different herbs in it. So maybe seeking out a herbalist in your area where you can also get some tinctures for postpartum is really helpful as well. So just thinking about, okay, if you're nurturing your body in the best possible way with products that are least disturbing on the that gentle terrain that you have, what are the things that you can do that are very gentle? So all the sitz baths, nothing pharmacological if you can, homeopathy, all that kind of stuff is really gentle.
What great wisdom, Red. I love this.
Those are my 3 tips. I'm going to take this off so we can see each other bigger.
That would be great. But this was wonderful. And, your tips are relevant anytime, right? But certainly important, like you said, that in these uncertain times, that people give that extra effort ahead
Yeah.
and find out all those services that they can have virtually and how they can maximize. And I loved your one of what do you want? Like create that desire of the feelings that you want, because what we think about is how we manifest, right? And you were more likely to find that joy and peace and healing postpartum when we put that intention there. So
Yeah.
awesome.
And I feel so much like, gosh, during times like this of uncertainty, it's so often the moms and babies that really suffer, right? Like now we can't have our support team. Now we're stuck at home alone. And, I just have such a strong heart right now, feeling like moms, just don't get yourself in that situation. We really have to plan now. We really have to get proactive. We really have to get prepared because it's okay. This is a beautiful time to have a baby still. You're bringing this wonderful hope into the world and you still have so much support. It's just about knowing where to access that and how to access that early on.
Yes, so true. Well, for everybody who I know is saying, since you're online, how can they access you? What's your website, your Instagram? How can people follow you and learn more?
So my website is lovebasedbirth.com. And I also have birth.sg is really easy because sometimes love-based birth is like, what did you say? So birth.sg is easy too. And then on Instagram, I'm red_Miller_midwife. And I've been in such a busy time with birth these few weeks, but I'm also really excited to start making more online resources that are easily accessible for moms. I've had an online program now for a few years, so I feel really lucky to already be supporting families in that way, just like yourself. And now also offering the live sessions that I usually do live online and Zoom like this, so we get really interactive with each other. We're just in our first round of that right now, and it's going so beautifully. And we also have a love-based birth tribe, which is such a good resource as well. It's an online community with lots of moms in there from all over the world. And a couple of my favorite things that we're doing right now is we are boosting up the breastfeeding section. So, like you said, all of those nuggets of YouTube videos, all of the stuff, so you don't have to go into Google and say like, how do I breastfeed? So it's a free online resource that I'd love to share with our listeners, and where people can come in and there's lots of resources there. We're also doing a thread right now about how to keep toddlers busy at home, right? So
Yeah.
because there's so many momtrepreneurs in the tribe, so like we're all just figuring out like how do we keep giving our offerings out into the world, and how do we make videos, and how do we do all of these things, but we've got our busy babies at home as well. So me and Rumi were making these Easter eggs today.
Oh,
So, cardboard, go collect leaves, like easy stuff like that. So we support each other in the tribe in all sorts of different ways. And gosh, do we need that now or what?
yeah, totally. Right. I love that saying so many are using, we're isolated, but we're connected. And we're
Yes.
getting really creative like this on how we can connect even more across the miles. So this was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Red, for being here, sharing your wisdom. All of you that are listening now or later on YouTube, leave us your comments. I hope you'll get over to Red's website, and join us on orgasmicbirth.com and get a copy of your book today. We'd love to hear your comments about that as well, as we bring more love and connection and intimacy into all our lives. So thank you, and stay healthy and well.